Hello everyone and welcome back to another album review. And in this video I'm going to review The Big Day by Chance the Rapper. Chance the Rapper is one of those artists that I haven't been all that impressed with anything he has done so far, but none of his releases would sound like something really bad or really cringy. Mixtapes like Acid Rap and Coloring Book are really well acclaimed and I can definitely see why. He has a soulful vibe and approach to his whole sound of rap and hip hop, which is mostly done in a really good fashion, and I think that his music has some nice elements to it. Even though I haven't found that something that would intrigue me in a Chance the Rapper project, I still think he's one of those artists that had the potential for releasing something better in the future. And it has been 3 years since the release of Coloring Book for the highly anticipated first studio full-length album of Chance the Rapper, which is a pop rap album as you could expect from Chance the Rapper that goes all over the place, having elements of trap music, contemporary R&B, your typical neo-soul elements, conscious hip-hop, and some other elements of the sound that feel more like 80s disco-esque or more old-school hip-hop. It's a bit of a messy project, and this album is 22 songs going for 77 minutes long. And I can say this album should not be 22 songs, this album should not drag for 77 minutes long. And what I can say is, God, this album was actually really bad. I wouldn't expect that I would say that a Chance the Rapper album would be this bad. It's not that I had such high expectations for this thing, but God, did I not expect that it was going to be this bad. And definitely one of the things that hurts of this album is its length. This album is way too long and it gets so boring. This album is extremely boring. And the thing about this album is that it doesn't get boring due to the fact that it's repetitive, but pretty much none of the ideas or the elements of the sound of this thing actually sound all that intriguing or having something energetic or powerful to them. This is a really bland album that throughout its whole mess has little to zero substance to it. There's not something to feel about it. It's just so bland and so surface level, it actually hurts. And you would expect that at least for a 22 track album that there were going to be some good moments to it, something that could at least be enjoyable. But throughout this whole thing, this album has absolutely no redeeming quality to it. I've heard so many albums this year and I really struggled to finish this one. This is one of the most boring and one of the most unnecessarily long albums I've heard in my life. This album has little to no redeeming quality to it, and I do not believe that I actually say this for a Chance the Rapper album. It goes to the point where even some mumble rappers or those rappers that you can't take seriously actually manage to do something more enjoyable with their albums, because at least you know that in this album you're going to get something fun out of them. You're going to at least laugh with them for just how bad they are. In this album though, I don't know if he's trying to be serious or if we just have to take him as a joke, because this thing at points it's laughably bad, it's actually shocking, and I can't feel sad just for how disappointing this album is, because this is go further than disappointing. This is awful, this is really crap, and it blows my mind. For one, the music of this thing. This is one of the least energetic albums I've heard. This has so little to it. There is so little to the production or any sort of refreshing sound. This one just takes so many elements of R&B and trap sound that we've heard before, that have been done so much better in the past. There is nothing sort of like energetic, something dynamic to it. All of this album feels empty, it feels really flat. And there are so many points where Chance the Rapper himself feels like he doesn't even try. Or maybe it would be more fitting to say that in some occasions it feels like he tries way too much, to the point where this album gets extremely pretentious and obnoxious. Chance the Rapper is all over the place in this thing, for having some excruciatingly bad flows that at some points even get offbeat, for trying in other occasions to rap extremely fast and it comes out of nowhere and it doesn't really fit with anything the music supports in the background, and also having some really cringe-worthy vocals. Yeah, truth be told, Chance the Rapper does not use that much auto-tune in his voice, he doesn't make it sound exaggerating, but it's one of those cases that I'm really curious if this album would actually sound better with a shit ton of auto-tune, because at so many points when he tries to sing, it just sounds so flat, so uninspiring, and so off-putting. At times it just feels like he's singing in the bathroom while having a shower. None of the features manages to offer something to this album. Instead, I think that they make this thing even more cringe-worthy. Yeah, even the features don't manage to save the situation for the better. And also this album features some of the worst hooks I've ever heard, with tracks like the self-titled one, The Big Day, or the extremely dumb and stupid Get a Bag. This album at points gets so forgettable, gets so cringe-worthy, it's almost insulting. I really dislike this album, and the thing is that the more it goes, you just expect that it's going to get better. There's no way this thing is going to get worse. But the more it goes, the more I'm just blown away by how bad this thing is. Like, it starts really bad with the uninspiring and pretentious All Day Long, and also the extremely forgettable Do You Remember. Then you have the cringe fest Hot Shower, and the list just goes on and on and on. I don't think there is a reason to just go for every single track of this thing, because it's really bad, and I don't want to give another chance of this album because it really doesn't deserve it. This thing is extremely boring, it's extremely bad. I would say some of the best moments of this album come a bit at the end, with tracks like Down on the Hill, which is a track that I don't really like. It has a really simple and basic beat to it, it feels really empty. It's just at the second half that has a sort of sound that feels a little bit more refreshing. It just sums up a thing, it progresses for something a bit better, something that would make it feel a bit more unique, a bit more refreshing, but that's about it. And also the track Zanies and Fools, it's possibly the most memorable thing out of this album. It's actually the better way to close such a bad album, because at least this one, it has some summer vibes, it's a bit more uplifting compared to pretty much anything else on this album. Also the skits don't manage to save the situation at all, instead some of them drag for way too long, and there is nothing good about them. Instead, I think they make this thing worse. The skits on this thing are too cringeworthy. And I don't think there is nothing all that much to say about this album other than this is not just a huge disappointment. This is surprisingly one of the worst things I've heard all year. And like I said, it's surprising that it comes from an artist that I do think he has the potential for releasing something better. He has proven that in the past. I think that Chance the Rapper is a really capable rapper and he can do some nice songs. And it's really surprising that he doesn't manage to do that in none of the songs. I don't know what's with Chance the Rapper, but the whole direction he took with this thing was so messy, was so out of touch. I don't know what was in his mind. The performances over here, the deliveries, for the most part, they sound really crap. On other times it feels extremely pretentious, on other occasions it feels like he's not trying, he's just fucking around. But one of the things that makes it worse from some really bad rap and R&B releases of this year is its length. It's actually easier for me to sit through the new Lil Pump album, or the new Logic album, or the new DJ Khaled album, or the new Ghana album, just because these albums are way shorter. This thing is really long. It didn't need to be that long, and it really hurts after a point. And I don't think I have anything else to say other than that. This was just a huge flop. I'm going to give this album a 2 out of 10. What's your opinion on this album? Like it, dislike it, Why and what do you want me to review next time? Let me know down in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more content like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.